There's been a lot of news around the court bonds that Donald Trump has needed to post as he appeals two significant court verdicts, and I thought it would be helpful to talk about what these bonds do, what they are, and how they work. I'm not going to get into any political discussions, but here instead focus on a segment of the insurance business known as Surety. Hi, I'm Gordon Coyle. Welcome to my channel where we talk about the risk and insurance issues on the minds of business owners. So to start, there are two cases the former president is appealing which require bonds. The first was a jury verdict of $92 million for the defamation against the writer E. Jean Carroll. Trump is appealing that verdict and as a matter of law must post a bond known as an appeals bond for the amount of that verdict. The second case involved falsifying business records where a judgment handed down a whopping $454 million judgment. That amount needed to be bonded, but Trump was unable to get that bond in that amount, but later it was reduced to $175 million, which he did get a bond for. So what is a surety bond, or in this case, an appeals bond? A surety bond is a form of a financial guarantee, which is written or issued by a surety company. A surety company is often a large insurance company that has a surety division. But in some cases, it's an insurance company that only exists for the purpose of issuing surety bonds. In the case of an appeals bond, its purpose is to guarantee on behalf of the appellant, in this case Trump, that if the judgment being appealed is affirmed or stand, that the surety will pay the verdict amount if the appellant, Trump, is unable to do so. In other words, the surety is guaranteeing that the payment of the verdict, if it stands, once the appellate trial is settled. So, you can see that the surety has a lot of risk here. Early in my career, I couldn't understand why it was so difficult to get surety bonds and why surety underwriters seemed to be so difficult to deal with. That misunderstanding was cleared up when a skilled bond underwriter told me a very simple fact. He said, "A surety never expects to experience a loss." At first, I didn't really understand what he meant, but as he described it, I got it. A surety underwriter wants to be 100% certain that if there is a claim against the bond, that they will recover fully from that claim. The underwriter gets that certainty from underwriting a deal thoroughly, getting a full indemnity agreement from the principal applying for the bond, and often obtaining collateral for all or a portion of the obligation. The bonds that Trump purchased did require collateral. We don't know how much of that obligation was collateralized, but I have to assume that a good portion of it was. And you may have read or heard that Trump wasn't able to pledge any of his real estate holdings as collateral and needed cash or high-grade investment bonds as collateral. So you may be thinking, why wouldn't a surety accept real estate as collateral? And I think for several reasons. First, it's hard to liquidate quickly. Next, there's likely mortgages already on those properties, so a surety doesn't want to be second or in a third or fourth position behind mortgagees. And lastly, commercial real estate is often held in complex ownership structures, making it pretty difficult to untangle. So cash, letters of credit, and high-grade securities are typically the preferred collateral. Now, on top of securing or backing the bond with collateral, the principal, Trump, must also pay a premium to the surety company, which is often around 1 to 3% of the amount of the bond. In some cases, it can be as little as 1/3% and as much as 10% for high-risk situations. For the moment, let's assume that the premium in this case is only 2%, which would mean that on the $175 million obligation, Trump paid the surety around $3.5 million. It could have been less, it could have been a lot more, we just don't know. So the surety companies are getting a pretty penny in premium. They're hedging their risk by taking in collateral, and they guarantee to the court that if the verdict stands, they'll pay it if Trump is unable to. The first bond in the Carroll case was issued by Chubb, and I haven't read any commentary on that. But the second bond in the fraud case was issued by Knight Insurance Company, and the chairman of that company summed it up in the trade press pretty well. It was an opportunity to step in and make a little bit of money and take very little risk, so we're happy with the transaction. So there you have it. A surety is an insurance company that underwrites and sells surety bonds, and in this case, a court bond. They charge a premium for that bond and often hedge their risk by collecting collateral for all or a portion of the obligation. But they are guaranteeing the performance of the principal, the person buying the bond, which is a weighty obligation. I hope you found this helpful, and if there's any commentary or thought you have on other videos you'd like to see, please make the comments below. Thanks for watching. And do me a favor, hit that like button. Thanks.